The night air over King's Landing lay heavy with the scent of rain-soaked stone and river-borne brine. But even the threat of a summer storm did not still the city's restless pulse. Torches guttered in iron sconces along the palace walls, their flames clawing at the dark like half-starved cats. And far below, the alleys of Flea Bottom flickered with orange tongues of lamplight as whores beckoned sailors in from the docks. Yet within the Red Keep itself, silence reigned. A silence cultivated by one man whose trade was secrets, whose footfalls were as soft as dust on marble. Lord Varys glided along the dim corridor behind the small hall, slippered feet whispering over flagstones. In his hands, folded within the wide sleeves of his lavender robes, a small parchment rested, its wax seal unbroken, its sigil unfamiliar to any but him. There was a tremor in his pulse tonight, though he smothered it beneath a placid smile. For years he had worn serenity as a mask. Tonight it felt thin as a spider's web. A gust stirred the tapestries, setting embroidered dragons to loom and billow like living flame. Varys paused before the tallest, an image of Aegon the Conqueror astride Balerion, the Black Dread. Red fire flickered from the hearth across the corridor, adding life to the beast's stitched scales. He reached out one pudgy hand and brushed the dragon's wing with fingertips pale as milk. "Blood and fire," he murmured, and the words tasted familiar, as though whispered to him long ago by a woman whose name he had never known. He moved on. At the end of the passage, a hidden door, fashioned of cunningly matched stone, yielded to a gentle press. Within lay a stairwell coiling downward into darkness. No torch lit his descent, yet Varys did not need one. He counted steps in his head, 37 to the first landing, 14 more to the tunnel mouth. The air grew cool, stale with secrets. Lintel-carved runes brushed his shoulder. Older than Aegon, older than the Seven perhaps, if Maester Pycelle's guesses held truth. Varys cared little for such speculations. Stone was stone. What mattered was that it concealed him. At the tunnel's terminus, torchlight finally awaited. Two boys in rough spun, their hair cut close like novices' crowns, their eyes bright with fear and faith in equal measure. "My lord," they chirped as one, and pressed wicked-shaped shadows against the walls with their torches. Varys offered them a gentle nod. "You have done well," he whispered. "Wait here, and speak of this to no one." They knew. They always knew. His little birds were taught the cost of song. Beyond them lay a cramped chamber lit by a single candle. There, upon a table of scarred oak, sat a slender chest of dark-heart ironwood, its hinges wrought in the shape of twin dragons, wings unfurled to form the latch. Varys closed the door behind him and let the silence settle like dust. Only then did he lift the parchment he carried and press it to the latch's mouth. A soft click, almost tender, answered, and the lid sprang a finger's breadth. Inside, beneath folds of blue velvet, waited a ring of beaten silver set with an amethyst so dark it seemed black. Varys stared at it for a long moment, the candle's flame nesting in the gem's heart like a smoldering coal. At last he took the ring in thick fingers and slipped it onto his smallest digit. The fit was perfect. Of course it was. The ring had been forged for him by a smith in Qohor more than 2 decades past. His payment a fortune in spice and secrets. It bore no sigil, no mark of house or bloodline, save for one tiny engraving on its inner band, DT, 2 letters, 2 ghosts. Varys blew out the candle. Darkness swallowed him whole, but he knew the way back. He whispered to the dragons on the chest, closed the lid, and turned the key within the latch. When he emerged once more into the torchlit tunnel, the boys stared at the gem-licking purple fire along his knuckle. They did not speak. They never spoke. Varys allowed himself the faintest smile and climbed the stairs into the beating heart of the palace, where the truth waited restlessly within stone walls. PGSQL. In the Tower of the Hand, Lord Tyrion Lannister tried to drown chaos in Sweet Arbor gold. The Hand study was a riot of half-finished ledgers, open scrolls, and jade dragon statuettes serving as paperweights atop maps of the Blackwater. Candles guttered low as he reread a letter from his father. Curt, commanding, laced with Tywin's signature arrogance. "Secure the city," Tywin had written. Keep the king pliant. Remind the small folk who rules them. Easier to herd cats, Tyrion thought sourly, as he wiggled his toes upon a cushioned footstool. The king was Joffrey, more serpent than lion. The city was restless, and so was Tyrion's own heart. He drained his cup and reached for the flagon again, but a soft tap at the door stilled his hand. "Enter," he called, bracing himself for bad news. Varys slipped inside like a silk-clad ghost. "My lord Hand," he greeted, bowing with practiced grace. "Might I have a moment of your inestimable time?" "You may," Tyrion answered, "though in my experience one never has merely a moment when you are involved." He motioned toward a chair. "Seat." Varys inclined his bald head and perched with meticulous care. "You appear troubled. May I ease your burden?" "You might," Tyrion said, swirling his wine. "Tell me something amusing." "Amusing?" Varys repeated, lacing pudgy fingers. "Very well. I have learned a jest told among the fishwives of the wharves. It concerns King Aegon the Unlucky, who—" "Spare me, I beg you," Tyrion cut in, though a begrudging smile tugged his mouth. "Unless your fishwives have unearthed Dragonstone itself, I doubt their jests will help." Varys' eyes glittered in torchlight. "Dragonstone may yet rise. One never knows what the tide will bring, my friend." Tyrion set aside his cup. Something in the spymaster's tone gnawed at him. "You speaking in riddles? I am astonished." "Not a riddle," Varys demurred. "Merely a thought. Suppose, just suppose, that the line of the dragon yet had branches unburned by Robert's rebellion. Imagine if a seedling sprouted far from the shadow of the Red Keep, watered in silence, growing strong in secret." Tyrion narrowed his mismatched eyes. "Are you alluding to Daenerys Targaryen? Last I heard, she was far across the narrow sea, birthing dragons." "Princess Daenerys is indeed across the water," Varys agreed. "Yet I speak of another branch, closer to home." Tyrion snorted. "Unless Viserys rose from the grave, your branch snapped years ago." The master of whisperers folded his hands upon his lap. He did not look away. "Not Viserys," he murmured. "There were other babes, other cradles the storm never touched." "You stagger my imagination," Tyrion said dryly. "If you possess proof, speak plainly." Varys offered him the ghost of a smile. "Proof is a fragile thing, my lord. Some truths are better dressed in shadows until the hour is ripe." He rose. "I must go. When the bells next toll midnight, please ensure you are near a window that looks upon the city." Tyrion's brows arched. "A window? Is the moon planning a show?" "Perhaps," Varys whispered. "But it will not be the moon you see." He bowed again and slipped out. The door clicked shut. Tyrion stared at the wine flagon, then at the parchment strewn like fallen leaves across his desk. "Seven save me," he muttered. "What have you done, Varys?" "PGSQL." The bells sang at midnight. Their iron throats boomed across rooftops slick with rain. Tyrion stood at a narrow window overlooking Blackwater Bay. The river was a black ribbon, the sea a lonely void. Yet beyond the mists drifting over the water, a single point of gold flared bright as dawn. Flames blossomed. One moment the night was dark. The next, golden fire climbed heavenward, a pillar of light bursting from an abandoned watchtower near the King's Gate. Houses nearest shuddered as heat washed across slate roofs. Small folk screamed, but their cries were lost beneath the bells. The tower's stones cracked. Yet within the rising inferno, shapes writhed, red tongues twisting into draconic wings. Tyrion's breath caught. Fire danced like living things, coiling into 3 dragons that spun around one another before dissolving back into embers that rained upon the street in a shower of sparks. The blaze itself dwindled just as swiftly, until only ash and charred wood remained. No buildings burned, no roof caught alight. It was as though the fire had been conjured for spectacle alone. Tyrion's lips formed one word: wildfire. Yet no wildfire he knew burned with such obedience. A hammering came upon his door. Ser Bronn burst inside, sword belt half buckled. What in the Father's name was that? A question for Varys, Tyrion said. Find him, PGSQL. The spymaster allowed himself a single exhale of relief as he descended another forgotten stairwell beneath the royal September. The wildfire had burned true, its dance executed to perfection by alchemists bribed with pardon and gold. They believed they served the hand. They served the crown, though not the crown they imagined. Varys halted at a sealed doorway, pressed the amethyst ring against a notch in the stone, and heard hidden gears rumble. The panel slid aside. Warm candlelight spilled out. Beyond lay a circular chamber lined with shelf upon shelf of ancient scrolls. A single figure waited within, cowled in black, face hidden. Varys stepped inside. The door ground shut behind him. "It is done," he said. The figure lowered its hood. A woman, gray-haired yet regal, her eyes the violet of dusk. Serala of Myr, last of the line of Daeron the Good, or so she claimed. Varys had vetted her lineage through every whispering channel, seeking contradiction. He had found none. "The city will whisper of dragons," she said. "They must," Varys replied. "Rumor is a spark, your grace. Soon the wildfire of belief will burn hotter than any alchemist's brew." She studied him. "You are certain you wish to proceed? The Game of Thrones devours all." "I was butchered for coin when I was but a boy," Varys answered softly. "I have been devoured once already, yet still I live. Let the game bite me again if it dares." Serala inclined her head. "Then the dragon stirs." She stepped aside, revealing an old oaken chest behind her, its lid carved with 3 roaring heads. Varys approached. The woman laid a hand upon the latch. It lifted with a stony groan. Inside, cushioned in black velvet, lay a sword. Its blade was Valyrian steel, dark as midnight yet glimmering with crimson ripples. The pommel was a dragon's head wrought of pale jade, eyes twin chips of amethyst. "Black fire," Varys whispered. His voice trembled. "I thought lost." "Not lost," she replied. "Merely hidden, like its rightful heir." The eunuch reached out. Thick fingers closed around the hilt. The sword was lighter than he expected, balanced despite centuries of slumber. Reflected in the steel's mirrored surface, his face seemed transformed. Eyes burning violet, hair a faint silver sheen rather than bald flesh. Illusion, he told himself. Candlelight and fancy. He raised Blackfire, and shadows fled the walls as though fearing the sword's silent wrath. "Blood of the dragon," Serala said, her words barely more than breath. "You have lingered long in exile, Prince." A tremor moved through Varys. Fear, awe, sorrow, all mingled. For years he had shaped kingdoms with whispers, yet none knew his own whispering heart. On islands far to the south, a dying wet nurse had shared truth with him. A bastard babe, sired in secret the night Ares wed. She had fled with the boy across the narrow sea, hiding him among mummers until assassins found her. Her final secret had lived only in Varys' ears. He had carried it like an ember beneath ash, waiting for wind. Now the wind had come. "I am no prince," he said. "I am the spider, a eunuch, a monster." "Monsters rule the world," Serala said, "and dragons do not ask permission to breathe flame." He gripped Blackfire until his knuckles blanched. At last he sheathed the sword and shut the chest. "It begins," he murmured. PGSQL. Dawn broke over King's Landing like a pale promise, yet the city buzzed with rumor. Some swore they had seen dragons in the sky, others that the Mad King had risen from death. The pyre at King's Gate smoldered still, a husk of blackened stone. Small folk flocked to stare and shiver, whispering prayers to old gods and new. Tyrion Lannister met with the council at sunrise. Grand Maester Pycelle droned of alchemical possibilities. Lord Baelish smiled sly suggestions of stirring loyalties. Ser Mandon Moore proposed closing the gates. But Varys sat serene at his end of the table, hands resting upon the board, making no move to soothe or stoke fear. The king was absent. Joffrey preferred sleep to statecraft. Queen Cersei sat in his place, eyes glittering emerald malice. Find those responsible, she hissed at Tyrion after Pycelle finished. Hang them on the walls. If only it were so easy, Tyrion replied lightly. But dragons are tricky beasts. They vanish when you approach. Varys cleared his throat. May I suggest, your graces, that we treat this as an opportunity? The small folk crave strength. Show them the crown's response is measured, and their faith will deepen. Cersei bristled. Measured? They need fear. Fear begets defiance as often as obedience, Varys said. Better to wrap the people in warm arms than threaten them with claws. Tyrion watched Cersei's face redden. He threw the eunuch a covert look. What game do you play? Varys merely folded his hands again and smiled. When council adjourned, Tyrion cornered him in the hall. You were right, he said. It was wildfire, yet in a shape I've never seen. Who said it? Why? Varys placed a gentle hand on the dwarf's shoulder. A question, my friend, the first of many, but some answers are perilous. Seek them too soon, and they may swallow you. You speak like a man shielding himself. Perhaps I shield you. Varys' eyes lingered on the amethyst ring gleaming upon his smallest finger. He removed it, pressing it into Tyrion's palm. When the bells toll thrice in daylight, stand upon the balcony of the Tower of the Hand. Wear this upon your finger, and watch. Tyrion examined the ring. What trick is this? No trick. A gift, and a warning. Varys bowed. Trust the whispers when the shouts grow loud. He glided away, leaving Tyrion staring at the gem, at dragon-wrought silver curling round amethyst. A chill spread through the dwarf's bones. He had never feared Varys. Until now, PGSQL. Across the narrow sea, on the Isle of Dragonstone, Melisandre of Asshai knelt before a brazier of crimson coals. The flames writhed as though alive, casting red light over her shadowed face. She whispered in the tongue of old Valyria, beseeching the Lord of Light to reveal the path to victory for her chosen king, Stannis Baratheon. But tonight the flames answered with fragments not of Stannis, but of another. A spider crowned with fire, a sword of darkness flickering with red veins, 3 dragons spiraling around a shattered throne. Melisandre's breath caught. Azor Ahai? She asked the coals. Yet the flames bent, twisting into a sigil she did not know. A chalice crowned by dragon wings. The coals hissed. Embers leapt, and the image was gone. Melisandre rose, heart racing. She had long believed Stannis Baratheon the promised prince reborn. Now doubt, hot as flame, licked her resolve. Show me, she whispered to the darkness. Show me the true king. But the brazier smoldered silent. CSS. Varys stood upon a balcony of Maegor's Holdfast, beneath banners of crimson and gold. The morning sun painted the city in rose and gold, though clouds bruised the eastern sky. His amethyst ring was returned to his finger. Below, in the inner yard, the new captain of the Gold Cloaks drilled recruits. Across the yard, a rook alighted upon the parapet and cocked its head, black eyes glittering. Fly, Varys whispered, and flicked a grain of seed from his robe's sleeve. The rook snatched it, then soared skyward. One bird among thousands, carrying a message bound to its leg. 3 words in a cipher older than the Blackfire rebellions. The web tightens. The rook banked over the city, wings beating steady, then vanished into cloud. PGSQL. 2 days later, the bells tolled thrice in daylight. Tyrion bowed his head over the ledger he was pretending to read. When the 3rd peal died, he rose and stepped onto his balcony. Heat shimmered above the rooftops. Gulls shrieked at the river's edge. Tyrion slipped the amethyst ring onto his finger, feeling faintly ridiculous. Across the courtyard, along the street of steel, a column of gold cloaks marched, the thud of their boots echoing. But Tyrion's gaze was drawn to the King's Road beyond the mud gate. A procession approached, mounted men in cloaks black as ravens' wings. At their head rode a tall figure armored in silver scale, a helm in the shape of a dragon's head tucked beneath one arm. Upon his breastplate, a sigil glimmered, a chalice crowned by wings, cast in red enamel. The city guard halted them at the gate. Voices rose. Tyrion leaned over the balustrade. The Silver Knight spoke. Though distance muffled the words, Tyrion felt the ripple through the watching crowd. The guard captain stiffened, saluted, and signaled for the gate to open. The procession entered. Commoners pressed close, whispering. The knight led them not toward the Red Keep, but to the Hill of Rhaenys, to the great ruined September. There he dismounted beside the shattered marble steps, and his men unfurled a banner, black silk upon which a three-headed dragon coiled in red and silver. Tyrion's breath caught. "Another Targaryen pretender," he murmured. Yet the ring on his finger pulsed with warmth, as though some deep sorcery acknowledged kin. "Who are you?" he whispered, though none could hear. The knight mounted the steps, drawing off his helm. Golden hair spilled down, not silver. Eyes the color of smoke swept the crowd. He raised a gloved fist, and a hush fell as palpable as snow. In a voice clear and resonant he spoke. "Good people of King's Landing," he called. "I am Ser Eric of House Blackfyre, sworn sword to the rightful king. Know this: the blood of old Valyria runs yet in Westeros, unbroken, unbent. This city suffers under false lions and cruel boys. The dragon's hour dawns." A murmur coursed through the throng. Tyrion's fingers tightened on the balustrade. Blackfyre, a name as cursed as Lannister was feared. The knight drew steel. Its black blade drank the sun. He plunged it point down into the marble and knelt behind it. "I speak for my liege, for he comes soon. Bend your knees freely or stand and be judged when the dragons return." The crowd erupted, some in cheers, some in fearful cries. Tyrion Lannister turned and strode quickly into his solar. He removed the ring, staring at its amethyst. "Seven save us all," he muttered. "Varys, what monster have you nurtured?" CSS. High in Maegor's holdfast, Cersei shattered a wine goblet against the wall when news reached her. "Arrest them!" she screamed at Ser Boros Blunt. "Drag the knight to the dungeons." But the gold cloaks hesitated. Some among them carried old loyalties in their veins. Memories of a dragon-ruled realm told by grandfathers who had served Prince Rhaegar. Even Blunt, craven though he was, sensed their reluctance. "I will go myself," Cersei vowed, and stormed from the chamber, Jaime a step behind. Yet when they reached the outer yard, a second crowd had gathered, small folk by the hundreds, many, murmuring Blackfyre like a prayer. And at the yard's edge, beneath a crimson awning, stood Varys. He bowed to the queen. "Your Grace," he said, voice silk smooth, "perhaps we should let reason, not bloodshed, prevail. Invite the knight to speak before the council. Let us hear his claim." "His claim?" Cersei's voice cracked with fury. "He claims treason. Treason loses power in daylight," Varys replied. "Let us shine light upon him and see what remains." Jaime's eyes flicked from Varys to the waiting crowd. He laid a hand on Cersei's elbow. "He may be right. Better to weigh the man's words than slay him in the street." Cersei shook him off. "Enough. I want his head." But the city watched. Bronn had posted crossbowmen along the walls, yet crossbows were poor shields against rumor. Cersei felt the weight of eyes. She tasted fear, for once not her own brand to wield, but raw and bile-sweet. "Very well," she hissed. "Bring him to the throne room. I will hear his lies." PGSQL. The iron throne loomed black and jagged under the hall's vaulting ribs. Flames in wall sconces painted shard and spike in sunset gold. Cersei sat upon the throne in place of her son, lion banners draping either side. At her feet knelt Ser Eric Blackfyre, helm cradled in his palms. Lannister guards flanked him, spears poised like fangs. Tyrion stood to the queen's right, hands clasped behind his back. Varys hovered at the foot of the dais, impassive. "Name yourself," Cersei commanded. The knight rose to one knee. "Ser Eric Blackfyre, sworn sword to Viserys Brightwing, son of King Aerys II, grandson of King Jaehaerys II, blood of the dragon." A ripple of astonishment coursed through the hall. Tyrion felt his heart hammer. Viserys Brightwing? A name unspoken in any rumor he'd heard. Cersei laughed, a brittle sound. A son of the Mad King? Born where? In some whore's bed? Have you proof?
Serarik lifted a scroll, se broken.
The babe was spirited away by loyalists after the sack of King's Landing, he declared. He has lived in shadows, watched your usurping spawn war upon each other. But now he rises. Cersei motioned. A guard took the scroll, passed it to Pycelle, who cracked the seal. He read, lips moving. The maester's bow-shaped mouth curved deeper by the line. At last he cleared his throat. My queen, this bears the personal sigil of Prince Rhaegar and the hand of Archmaester Belair. If genuine, it suggests legitimacy. Suggests. Cersei rose. Tear it apart. We can examine the ink. Pycelle hedged. The seals. Ser Eric slid Blackfire free of its sheath. The blade hissed like water on hot iron. Gasps rang out. Guards bristled. But he drove the sword into the marble floor at Cersei's feet, the tip biting stone with a crack. Flames in the sconces leapt higher, as though the steel drank their heat. Silence smothered the hall. Blackfire bows to its king alone, the knight said. It has woken. Cersei's gaze fell upon the dark blade, its ripples glowing crimson. She stepped back, lioness sensing wildfire. For an instant, fear, true fear, shadows her emerald eyes. Then the doors groaned open. A hush deeper than prayer descended as Varys entered, though he had stood near the dais moments before. Now he strode the length of the hall, robes the color of dusk trailing. At the throne's foot, he knelt. Your Grace, he said, voice carrying to every vaulted rib. The realm begs a true king. I name Viserys Brightwing, blood of the dragon, rightful heir. Tyrion's breath stalled. He stared at Varys, calm, composed, and utterly unknown. Cersei's laughter cracked like glass. You, a eunuch? You dare speak for kings? Varys rose. Daeron Targaryen begot a son on a Myrish courtesan in the year of the Red Spring. That babe's line did not end at Summerhall. It endured, hidden, guarded by loyal hearts. Lies. Cersei's voice faltered. All lies. Then strike me down, Varys said softly, and sever the last thread binding peace. The queen's hand fell to the hilt of her dagger. Jaime's fingers closed over hers. Sister, he murmured, though the word was raw as blood. Tyrion could not look away from Varys. The spider's eyes glimmered violet now. A trick of torchlight, or a truth long veiled? Show us this Viserys, Tyrion said, breaking the spell. If he lives, let him come. Varys inclined his head. He will come, my lord. When? Cersei demanded. When the city no longer bleeds lion's gold, Varys answered. When the people cry for dragons. He turned, and as he did, the torches guttered. Shadows blossomed, engulfing him. When the flames steadied, Varys was gone. Only the whisper of silk remained, drifting like a spider's thread on unseen wind. That night, Tyrion found the amethyst ring gone from his table. In its place glimmered a single silver coin, a dragon. On its obverse, a chalice crowned by wings. On its reverse, a single word, Brightwing. Tyrion understood, then, that the game had changed. And somewhere in the dark heart of the Red Keep, Varys, once a friend, now sharpened secrets like daggers, poised to plunge them into the lion's throat. The spider spun, sleepless. PGSQL. North of the city, in the woods beyond the King's Road, a lone rider waited beneath a weeping willow. Rain sifted through branches, pattering upon a cloak of midnight blue. A hood concealed the rider's face, but as hoofbeats approached, the stranger lifted his chin. Varys emerged from shadow upon a pale mare. He dismounted, leading the horse to the tree's curtain of leaves. There he knelt upon one knee and bowed his head. Your Grace, he whispered. The hooded rider dismounted, boots sinking into loam. He drew back his hood. Moonlight kissed silver gold hair falling in soft waves to his shoulders. His eyes were violet, bright and clear as sunrise after storm. A thin scar slashed his brow, testament to battles fought in silence. He was young, 25 at most, yet his gaze held the weight of centuries. Varys looked up, tears unbidden gleaming in his eyes. "Viserys Bright Wing," he said, voice trembling. "Your time has come." He drew Blackfire from its sheath and offered it hilt first. The prince took the sword in steady hands. Crimson ripples raced along the blade as though greeting their master's blood. Metal hummed. A low, hungry note felt more than heard. Viserys tested the balance, then slid the sword home. "The city will not yield easily," he said. His voice was soft, but iron lay beneath. "No city yields easily," Varys agreed, rising. "But seeds sown long ago sprout in willing soil. Tonight, the small folk whisper of dragons. Tomorrow they will shout." Viserys looked toward the distant glow that marked King's Landing. "And if they do not? Then," Varys said, "we give them reason." The prince nodded. "Gather the loyal, light the beacons. In 7 days, I will stand before the gates." Varys bowed. "The realm shall tremble." Viserys mounted his horse, spurred it northward along a path cloaked by trees. Varys watched until he vanished, then turned south, eyes glinting like amethyst in the rain. The dragon's hour had come. PGSQL. Beneath the Red Keep, the dungeons muttered with the madness of forgotten souls. Among them, in a cell so dark even spiders shunned it, a woman knelt in chains. Her clothes were rags, her hair a matted veil, yet her eyes burned bright. Elia Stone, some called her. Others named her Witch of the Dusk. Few knew she once nursed a prince in exile. She felt him now, his return like a rising tide. "Blood and fire," she whispered, rattling chains. "Blood and fire." In the corridor beyond, a shadow paused, listening. Then soft footsteps receded. A lock clicked open. Elia looked up to see a jailer slump, throat slit. Varys stepped into the cell, dagger dripping crimson. He knelt, keys in hand. "Sister," he murmured, though no blood tied them. He unlocked her chains. "It is time." Elia's smile was the dawn after endless night. "He lives," she breathed. "He lives," Varys confirmed, helping her to her feet. "And he will need you." Together they slipped into shadow. CSS. Storms gathered over the narrow sea, foul winds driving black clouds toward Westeros. On Dragonstone, Melisandre watched lightning crown the waves, her red robes whipping in the gale. Stannis stood beside her, scowl etched deep. "The flames dance," she told him, "but the shadows twist. Another king rides to claim the dawn." Stannis' jaw worked. "I am the rightful king. So you will prove or fall," Melisandre said. In the flames behind her eyes, she saw a spider crowned, a sword of night and flame, and a city burning dragon bright. PGSQL. In the crypts beneath Winterfell, Bran Stark's dreams carried him south on wings of ravens. He saw a spider spin a crown of webs, each thread a whisper of sorrow. He saw dragons rising over the Red Keep, their fire carving the night. When he woke, Hodder knelt beside him, gentle eyes anxious. "Hodder?" he asked. Bran's voice shook. "Winter is coming," he murmured, "but so is fire." CSS. As dawn bled into day 7, Tyrion Lannister stood upon the battlements. Smoke drifted from chimneys, but beyond the outer walls a host had risen. Banners the color of night bearing a silver-red dragon and a chalice. Drums thundered like distant heartbeats. The small folk lined the streets, whispering Bright Wing. Varys appeared beside him, robes of midnight trimmed in purple. "A wondrous morning, my Lord Hand." Tyrion's voice was rough. "You this why?" Varys laid a gentle hand on his shoulder. "For the realm," he said, and in the valley below, atop a white destrier, Prince Viserys Brightwing raised Blackfire to the sky. Sunlight caught the blade, and a crimson spark leapt heavenward, reflecting in every watching eye. A promise of blood, or salvation, or both. Trumpets blared. and the Game of Thrones began anew. PGSQL. In that first moment of stillness before the storm's breaking, Varys closed his eyes. He felt the pulse of old Valyria in his veins, hot and vicious. No longer a spider, but a dragon hidden in plain sight, waiting to unfurl its wings. At last they burned, and the world would burn with them. PGSQL. Damp heat clung to King's Landing like an invisible cloak as the moon waned toward black. In Flea Bottom, beggars huddled beneath weather-stained awnings, trading half-believed rumors of a silver-haired prince and a sword that glowed like heartfire. Some spat and called it a mummer's trick. Others whispered prayers to the Father for deliverance. By the river, ratcatchers swore they had seen a rider in midnight armor slipping through the fog, scattering silver coins that bore a dragon on one side and a winged chalice on the other. The city's pulse quickened, every alleyway a vein-pumping speculation. Tyrion Lannister prowled his solar long after the candles should have guttered. Parchments filled with ciphered names occupied every inch of his desk. Brewers who had once toasted Ares, smiths who had forged dragon talons on secret orders, midwives whose hands had cradled babes born under false sigils. Varys's ghost hovered over every line, threading them into a tapestry Tyrion could not yet read. Occasionally he caught his own reflection in the window panes, wide-eyed, sleepless, as if some other dwarf peered back with questions he could not ask aloud. Shouts rose distantly from the street of Flower. An argument turned brawl, steel on steel, quick silence. Tyrion counted 12 heartbeats before the watchman's horn bleated. When quiet returned, he exhaled. Chaos crept closer each night. Behind him, parchment crackled. Podrick Payne dozed against a cabinet, quill fallen from limp fingers. Tyrion considered shaking the boy awake, then decided against it. Let him dream while he could. Dreams were safer than dawn would be. He emptied a final flagon of Arbor Gold and stared at the amethyst ring returned magically to his finger, its gem catching lamplight in 100 secret facets. What game did Varys play, crowning him custodian of a token so dangerous? The dwarf slid the ring off, tempted to hurl it into the brazier. But some instinct of self-preservation, of curiosity, made him pocket it instead. He pushed from his chair. Somewhere in the belly of the keep, Cersei still stalked the halls in a fury of clinking silk and cloven pride, interrogating maids, bribing guards, chasing every wisp of rumor until each fresh failure drove her deeper into wine. Tyrion imagined confronting her with evidence she could not dismiss. Proof that Varys was the puppeteer behind Bright Wing, but he lacked both proof and certainty. Even a lion should tread soft where dragons nested. Outside, a single bell told the 3rd hour. Tyrion blew out his candles, gathered cloak and dagger, and slipped into the corridor. He moved as soundless as a shadow despite his half-crooked gait, descending the servants' stairs toward the dungeons. If answers hid anywhere, they lurked in darkness. 2 torches guttered at the base of the stair, both unlit. At this hour they should have burned. Torch wicks were tended at each watch. Tyrion knelt, fingered the iron bracket. Cold. No oil glistened. Somebody meant this passage to drown in black. He flexed the fingers of his right hand, rehearsing the weight of his dagger, then pressed on. Cell doors all ajar. Iron hinges oiled, the merest nudge swinging them back into stone embrasures. Moonlight sliced through barred windows above each threshold, falling on empty chains. Cell after cell vacant. Tyrion's pulse thudded. Had the Queen ordered a purge of prisoners? But why clear the lowest pits and not trumpet victory? Why the secrecy? He reached the bleakest cell of all. The jailers called it Spider's Nest, once reserved for mid-level traitors too valuable to kill outright. Its door hung open. Inside, straw lay scattered over flagstones scored by decades of shackles. The stink of old fear still clung, but no prisoner crouched there now. Just a smear where blood had dried recently and a broken manacle pin, freshly snapped. Tyrion bent, touched the stain. Hours old, perhaps. He wiped fingers on his doublet and straightened, mind racing. Varys had spoken of seeds watered in silence. Had he freed some hidden ally? Or had Cersei's wrath taken flesh? He turned and found a figure half a yard away, materialized from deeper gloom, curved dagger poised. Instinct threw Tyrion sideways. The blade glanced off his shoulder, cutting cloth but not skin. He tumbled, rolled, came up with his own dagger ready. "Peace?" hissed the attacker. A girl, not yet 20, garbed in nondescript gray. Her hood had slipped in the scuffle, revealing coarse-cropped hair the color of ash and eyes like pale smoke. She raised empty palms. "You are the hand?" "Only in title and irritation." Tyrion kept steel between them. "Identify yourself, or the next breath you draw will be through a new mouth in your throat." "Elia," she whispered. "Elia Rivers." The name thudded in Tyrion's memory. He had just read it on a parchment list. Wet nurse to a bastard babe spirited across the sea, presumed dead. Yet her eyes, her bearing, screamed survivor. "You were chained in Spider's Nest," he said. Elia nodded. "Until dawn yesterday, the spider freed me. To what purpose? To guide Brightwing's fire." She glanced down the passage. "Your feet make no noise, my lord, but others follow. We must go." Footfalls echoed behind them, armor clinking. Tyrion cursed. Two options. Trust a stranger or face Cersei's men with blood on his shoulder and a freed prisoner at his side. He chose the lesser madness. "Lead then," he growled. Elia darted past, barefoot silent. They slipped into a side corridor, half collapsed in Robert's day and long ignored. Through rubble they crawled, descending a rubble-choked stair Varys himself had once mentioned over wine. A forgotten secret every builder since Maegor had feared to seal. At its base waited a corridor so low they walked doubled. The air smelled ancient, stone dust and the ghost of hot breath. Finally they emerged into a wine cellar beneath the royal kitchens, casks arrayed in orderly rows. "My thanks," Tyrion managed, panting. "But unless that cell contained the answer to every riddle in this city, you were not worth the chase." Elia's lips curved in a tired smile. "I held no answers, my lord, only a memory." She touched her breast. "Of feeding a prince his mother's milk while assassins hunted." Tyrion's eyes widened. "Brightwing himself?"
"No."
"Another." Her gaze drifted to distant years. "A babe with no name save the one we dared whisper." "Aelor." She blinked. "But the prince you call Viserys. He carries that babe's memory like a twin soul." She fixed Tyrion with sudden intensity. "He is no pretender. The spider's game is truth, wrapped in lies." "Lovely," Tyrion muttered. "The realm swims in lies already, yet you risk everything for this truth." Elia reached into her tunic, producing a rolled strip of kid leather bound by twine. She offered it. "I risk more than life. This is his blood, sealed in salt when he was cut loose of me. Varys means to show the realm, dragonfire in the veins." Tyrion took the relic carefully. Inside, a thin vial of cloudy fluid sloshed, cork sealed in blue wax embossed with a three-headed dragon. "Dragon's blood," he whispered. "You have read enough books to know Valyrian steel may sing when near its maker's kin, yes?" Blackfire answered him. "But the small folk will doubt until maesters taste blood." She touched the vial with reverence. "Give it to the citadel. They will find what truth hides. Or declare it sorcery. Some call truth sorcery when it threatens." Tyrion exhaled. "With this, Varys can crown Brightwing unquestioned, if Cersei does not skewer him first." He slid the vial into an inner pocket. "I must think. You stay alive. The queen's spies multiply faster than rabbits when carrots appear." Elia nodded. Footsteps echoed again, distant but approaching. Without another word, she melted into shadow between casks, lost by the time 3 guards burst in. They found only the hand, dagger sheathed, tasting an unlabeled vintage with theatrical calm. "Small folk riot by the gate of the gods," Tyrion told them blandly. "Run along and quell it." They saluted, confused, and hurried off. Tyrion set the cup down untasted. He felt the weight of the vial and the ring, twin lodestones tugging him toward a choice neither safe nor simple. In the Tower of the Hand, dawn crept through lattice windows when Tyrion finally penned a letter in cipher to his father. Urgent summons, evidence of new claimant, city on edge. He hesitated before sealing it, wondering whether Tywin Lannister was ally or executioner in this unfolding drama, but duty outweighed doubt. He folded wax with the lion's seal and dispatched a raven before second thoughts could stay his hand. If the game demanded players, better to seat Tywin early than late. PGSQL. Across the city, the Great September of Baelor loomed in sunlight, its shattered dome still unrepaired from the wildfire explosion that had once burned Stannis' fleet. Marble lions atop the steps sported new red banners, Cersei's attempt to claim the faith through spectacle. Yet between the banner poles, a silent protest formed. Commoners wearing scraps of midnight cloth tied around brows, wrists, throats, a sign of allegiance to Bright Wing. For every red banner, a dozen black swatches fluttered. High Septon Mallox, newly appointed by the crown, addressed the faithful from cracked steps. His words of obedience echoed, but his eyes flickered with unease as those black ribbons multiplied. When he raised the seven-pointed star, a young boy near the front shouted, "Dragon's Dawn!" The cry rippled outward until guards waded into the crowd, clubs swinging. Several throats were cut. Blood darkened marble. The banners still fluttered. Varys observed from a cloaked balcony opposite the street, expression unreadable. Beside him stood Serala of Myr, her rough-spun robes at odds with the violet gem pinned at her throat. "The faith bends," she murmured. "They will not break so easily." "Nor must they," Varys replied. "A cracked will turns, but too clean a break stalls the cart. Fear and hope must share the yoke." He watched a Septon kneel to bind a wounded girl's arm. When the High Septon feels his pulpit crumble, he will grasp whatever pillar stands firmest. We must be that pillar. Serala's gaze slid to him. And if he kneels to Queen Cersei first, then we give him reason to rise again. He signaled a little bird perched atop a stone griffin. The child scurried down, bearing a folded parchment. Varys whispered instructions, pressing a silver dragon into her palm. She vanished into the crowd. Soon, word would reach every Septon's ear. The Black Chalice Brotherhood called the faithful to midnight litany under the ruined September of Rhaenys. No open defiance, merely prayer. Yet prayer could ignite cities when sparks of prophecy flickered. Varys's lips formed a silent invocation. "Remember the dragon's mercy, for the flames will spare only those who believe." PGSQL. On the river, black sails cut through morning haze. A squat galley flying no sigil eased into a hidden inlet north of the Blackwater Rush. Its cargo, casks marked with a coiled green sun, the alchemist's sign for wildfire. Ser Eric Blackfire supervised the unloading, helm tucked beneath his arm. Each barrel was lifted by ropes onto wagons disguised as fishmongers' carts. Under burlap, they would pass city gates unchecked, bound for cellars mapped by Varys decades earlier. A few barrels, though, were rolled aside into a stone barn guarded by silent men in chalice sigils. Eric oversaw one special barrel, narrower than the rest, its lid nailed over thick steel bands. He pried it open. Inside, beneath straw, lay 3 small ceramic spheres etched with draconic runes. Eggs to the ignorant eye, Eric's gauntlet brushed one, and it glowed faintly. "Are they stable?" he asked the trembling pyromancer who had traveled with them. "As stable as wildfire can be, sire," the man answered. "A spark will birth an inferno fit for a dragon's heart." Eric lowered the lid. "Then guard them with your life." He slammed the barrel shut. The pyromancer swallowed. "Where are they bound?" "Where faith is deepest," Eric said. He clapped the man's shoulder in grim camaraderie. "We light no fires yet, but the night comes soon." PGSQL. Far to the north, in the Eyrie, Lord Peter Baelish considered reports reaching him daily by Raven. Brightwing's banners multiplied faster than he could track, yet chaos was a ladder and the young prince another rung. Alice Arryn, regent for the sickly Lord Robert, begged Peter for counsel. He advised caution, neutrality, a shield for the Vale. All the while he penned private letters to Viserys, promising ships, grain, men, and gold in return for old debts repaid when the Iron Crown changed heads. Littlefinger's danced elegantly across parchment as he whispered to himself, "A dragon in my debt flies at my command." He added a postscript. Nod to the rumor that Jon Arryn had once suspected Robert Baratheon was not the realm's savior but its soft underbelly. History, Peter mused, thrived on such revisions. PGSQL. On Dragonstone, Melisandre's visions grew sharper each night. Flames revealed a web of red threads converging upon King's Landing, every thread leading to a figure wreathed in violet light. Stannis raged when she spoke of another Azor Ahai, yet she sensed doubt gnaw the iron of his resolve. To ease him, she taught Queen Celis a midnight prayer. "Lord of Light, burn our enemies, reveal thy chosen champion." Celis whispered it over their sleeping daughter, Shireen, whose grayscale face flushed feverish beneath the glow of a single ruby. When the child woke screaming of spiders crowned with fire, Melisandre knew the Lord had spoken. She ordered torches lit atop the fortress walls, signals to unseen watchers across the sea. Stannis clenched fists at the parapet, eyes reflecting coals. Melisandre laid a hand upon his arm. "Trust in the fire," she urged. Yet the flames whispered a name that was not Stannis. And deep within, Melisandre wondered whether the Lord of Light delighted in chess as much as men. PGSQL. 7 days after the midnight bells, Queen Cersei summoned the nobles of the city to the throne room. Gold cloaks lined the hall, spears crossed, each man vetted twice for loyalty. The queen wore black silk embroidered with crimson lions devouring dragons. At her throat, Joffrey's betrothal necklace glinted like a threat. Jaime stood behind her right shoulder, white cloak immaculate, sword easy at hip. Grand Maester Pycelle hovered left, clutching a parchment scroll with trembling fingers. "Lords and ladies," Cersei began, voice carrying to architraves. "Traitors infest our streets, seducing commoners with lies of false dragons. I will not suffer treason." She gestured sharply. Pycelle unrolled the scroll, names inked in spidery script. "Hear the decree. All who bear or display the mark of the Black Chalice shall be taken into royal custody. Trial by combat denied. Confession by truth serum enforced." Murmurs rippled. Lord Giles Rosby coughed blood into a kerchief. Lady Stokeworth paled. But before Pycelle reached the third name, a man stepped from the crowd. Lord Orain Waters, Master of Ships. He knelt. "Your Grace, my warehouses hold casks belonging to fishmongers awaited in market. I fear they contain powders volatile as wildfire." Cersei's lips parted. "How know you this?" "A cabin boy fled my docks, ranting of dragons in barrels. He bore this." Waters offered a coin. Silver, chalice side up. Cersei snatched it, examined the stamped image. Her hand trembled, though she hid it well. "Where are these barrels now?" "Seized, my queen. Guarded. Bring them here." Panic flickered in Pycelle's eyes. Jaime's hand fell to sword hilt. Tyrion, at the dais' foot, thought of Elaya's vial and felt the ring in his pocket radiate cold heat. If the barrels were indeed wildfire egg bombs, unveiling them among nobles would slaughter half the court. He stepped forward. "Perhaps the throne room is unwise for demonstration," he said. Cersei glared. "Afraid, little brother?" "Always," Tyrion admitted. "Especially when the alternative is an early bath in green flame." Cersei ignored him, waving guards to escort Waters. They departed. Court resumed, but tension coiled like a whip in every throat. Tyrion's gaze searched for Varys. The spymaster was absent, telling in itself. The subpoena recitations dragged. Lords shuffled, sweat beading on brows. Finally, Waters returned with 4 guards rolling a handcart carrying a single narrow barrel bound in iron. Cersei rose. "Open it." A pyromancer accompanied, his green robes fluttering. He broke the wax seal, lifted the lid. Straw glimmered. The court held its breath. Waters reached inside, drew forth an egg, no bigger than a quail's, glazed black and red. He held it aloft. "Behold," Cersei scoffed. "A child's toy." The pyromancer accepted it reverently. "Your grace," he intoned. "This is wildfire in solid form. Shatter the shell and drag on fire blossoms." "Show me," Cersei commanded. Tyrion blurted, "Take it outside." Too late. The pyromancer struck the egg against the iron barrel rim. For a heartbeat, nothing. Then a sound like the world inhaling. Flame erupted. A sphere of incandescent green that engulfed the barrel, the cart, the pyromancer, Waters, and half the row of courtiers behind them. Screams drowned the crack of expanding heat. The blast wave hurled bodies 10 yards. Pillars buckled. Cersei staggered. Jaime grabbed her arm, cloak catching fire. He tore it free. Tyrion hit the floor beneath a toppled bench, deafened. When vision returned, half the throne room was a furnace. Charred corpses smoldered on mosaic tiles. Guards dragged the queen toward a side door. Smoke choked lungs. Tyrion crawled through ash toward the dais. Black fire still jutted from the marble where Eric had planted it days earlier. Green flame licked its blade but did not consume it, as if the steel drank even wildfire. Suddenly Varys was there, soot-streaked but serene, lifting Tyrion to his feet. "We must go." "You?" Tyrion rasped, throat raw. "Did you orchestrate this slaughter?" "The queen's pride did. I merely placed a coin where a lord would find it." Varys steered him through collapsing debris to the servant hall. "The realm's old skin must blister before new scales form." Tyrion's stomach lurched. How many dead? Fewer than would have died in the next rebellion without proof. "They will call this the Mad Queen's folly." He pushed a door. Fresh air rushed in. "Now her reign bleeds." Sirens' horns peeled beyond the walls. Varys pressed a damp cloth into Tyrion's hand. "Cover your mouth. Tonight Brightwing marches to the gate of the gods. You will be there." "Will I?" Tyrion coughed. "Wear the ring." Varys's voice softened. "The prince trusts you, as do I. You will counsel him when lions roar. I advise my conscience, not dragons." "Then advise both. The realm hangs on counsel." Guards thundered past. Varys melted away. Tyrion leaned against a pillar, watching him vanish like mist. Fire still roared behind, but outside, bells clanged alarm in every quarter. The game bent toward its pivot. PGSQL. In the red keep's highest tower, Cersei brooded over the loss. 50 nobles dead, 100 wounded, the high septon among them. Wildfire tongues still licked stone below. Jaime tried to calm her, but grief molded into rage. "Bring me the spider," she snarled. "Alive or dead. I want his head." Ser Boros blunt bowed, returning hours later with news. Varys had fled through secret tunnels. None could trace him. Cersei cursed him and the stones that hid him. She ordered her lion banners burned. Henceforth, only Baratheon black and gold would fly. But the seamstresses balked. They had no king's boars to sew, only tattered lions or dragons. So Cersei commanded lion sigils flayed, unfurling blank scarlet cloth across parapets. Soldiers muttered, "Red for blood, red for ruin." Commoners whispered the queen had shed her skin and found none beneath. PGSQL. That night, Tyrion stood upon the ramparts of the mud gate, wounded shoulder bandaged, ring on finger. The city below seethed. Torch lines of refugees clogged alleys, fleeing a palace whose stones still glowed. The scent of smoke and grief mingled. Against distant hills, black banners rose. Brightwing's host, swelled by Sel's words, discontented small folk, and Lord's minor-smelling shift in wind. Trumpets cried. Fires along the king's road blossomed as thousands advanced. Spears glinting, armor patched but determined. At their head, Viserys Brightwing rode a pale horse, Blackfire raised. Behind him strode Eric Blackfire, armor scorched with green flecks from the blast he had watched from afar. Fireflies of lanterns bobbed among the ranks, little birds guiding them along paths mapped by Varys. From the gatehouse, Tyrion glimpsed a standard new to the host, a lion rampant entwined with a dragon. He squinted. Beneath it marched a column in Lannister crimson. His heart tightened. Bronn. He called to the cell's word captain beside him. Whose men are those? Bronn's eyes reflected torchlight like foxfire. Words out that Lord Tywin crosses the Blackwater at first light. Sent outriders to pledge terms. If the queen falls, Lannister gold flows to the dragon. Tyrion's breath steamed. Father always hedges bets. He looked to the ring. And I sit the hinge. Bronn chuckled. Plenty hinges snap under weight. Best oil yourself. Sound advice. Tyrion drew in smoky air. Open the gate halfway. Enough to parley, not siege. Bronn arched a brow. Queen's orders demand we hold fast. The Queen's orders burned with half the court. Tyrion's voice hardened. I am still hand of the king, until a king tells me otherwise. Now do it. Bronn grinned. As you command. Chains rattled. The portcullis creaked. Viserys reined a horse 2 paces beyond the threshold. Banners furling in night breeze. Tyrion descended the stairs alone, cloak flapping. They met in the arch's half-shadow, torches guttering overhead. Prince and dwarf regarded each other. Viserys' eyes shone amethyst. The ring on Tyrion's hand mirrored their hue. You wear my gift, the prince said. Gifts bear weight, Tyrion answered. If I drop it, does the city burn? Viserys' smile held sorrow. It burns already. Tyrion looked behind, where smoke plumed over palace towers. True. What do you offer that the flames do not? Water for fire, Viserys said. Justice for ashes. A realm remade. Not in lion's hunger nor stag's sloth, but dragon's mercy. Mercy, Tyrion barked a brittle laugh. I watched wildfire devour innocence today. I saw a queen in hubris strike a pyromancer's egg. Viserys leaned closer. The egg she broke was meant for the throne itself, to scare not scorch. Varys warned her. She ignored. Tyrion's silence admitted possibility. And if I admit mischance, what then? Stand aside. Viserys extended a gloved hand. Let the gates open. I will walk unarmed to the Red Keep and claim the throne by right. Those who bend the knee live. The queen will stand trial before lords of the realm. And the king, a child forged by cruelty. He shall be sent to the citadel to learn humility and healing, if he will. Tyrion considered, remembering Joffrey's smirking cruelty. The small folk hung for jests. He thought of Sansa's bruises of wildfire in the Blackwater. Yet dragons knew cruelty too. He sought the prince's eyes for malice, found instead a steady grief. Your mercy may fracture, Tyrion warned. Rage lives in Valyrian blood. So does love, Viserys countered. Else Daenerys's dragons would never have hatched. You know of her. She is my kin. We will meet, if winter spares us. He lowered his hand. The gate, my lord? Tyrion inhaled through smoke-stung lungs. One condition. Speak. The small folk must eat. Grain stores lie rotting under Lannisport tariffs. Open the roads. Feed them. Viserys nodded. Done. He turned his horse. Eric, hold the line. If the gate rises not by dawn, we take it by storm. He trotted back. Tyrion climbed to the battlements. Bronn awaited, expression unreadable. Well, open it, Tyrion said. Bronn signaled. Chains clanked. The gate groaned upward. Tyrion's pulse hammered as the host poured inside. Column by column, banners unfurling in torchlight. Dragon, chalice, lion-dragon hybrid. Even Tyrell roses sown hurriedly by opportunists. A new tide swept into King's Landing. Tyrion watched until his eyes blurred, then turned to face the Red Keep. Behind those walls, Cersei armed archers and sharpened spite. Between them, Varys weaved threads unseen. The game's board erased and redrawn before dawn. CSS. In Maegor's holdfast, Cersei gazed out at the serpentine torch lines snaking up the hill. Fury narrowed her eyes to emerald shards. Jaime pleaded prudence, but she slapped him. Traitor, she hissed. You love that dwarf more than me. She ordered Pycelle to ready poison phials. If the city fell, she would drink last and watch chaos claim all. In the nursery, under dim candle, Joffrey polished his crossbow, lips curling in anticipation. "Mother, let them come," he giggled. "I will shoot the dragon prince through his pretty eye." Cersei kissed his brow. "You will, my sweet." Her smile quivered. She felt crack spiderweb through her grandeur. Yet desperation forged dark resolve. She summoned Qyburn, dismissed from the citadel for forbidden arts. "Find me a beast," she demanded. "Something that kills dragons." Qyburn's smile chilled. "I have just the thing, your grace, if you dare pay the cost." PGSQL. 2 hours past moonset, Tyrion stood on a balcony of the Tower of the Hand as the prince's column moved through the city, its leading edge already climbing the hill. Fires burned along the Street of Sisters, but no sack occurred. Soldiers enforced order, distributing bread from commandeered larders. The small folks' cheers echoed, "Bright Wing, Dragon's Mercy." Elia Rivers appeared beside Tyrion like a wraith. "It begins. It began long ago," he murmured. She handed him a fresh parchment, Varys' sigil. He opened it. One line, "When the lion roars, cut its tongue." Tyrion frowned. Beneath, a smaller note, "Rhaenys' September, moon's height." He looked to Elia. She nodded. They descended spiral stairs into streets where destiny strode in bright banners. PGSQL. At Rhaenys' September, charred ruins glowed with 1,000 candles as clergy and commoner knelt in midnight vigil. High Septon Molochs, bandaged from wildfire blast, stood at the apse, flanked by silent sisters. Varys emerged from shadow, draped in unadorned gray. He bowed. "Your Holiness," he greeted. "Will the faith stand with justice?" Molochs touched singed beard. "The seven abhor fire, yet I see signs in smoke. A dragon not of madness but rebirth. Then crown him with your blessing when dawn breaks." The Septon hesitated. "Many still fear Targaryen tyranny. Fear fades before hunger," Varys said. "And hunger grows." He produced a pouch of silver dragons. "Feed the hungry. Carry bread with blessing." Molochs accepted the coin. "I will pray and act." Varys exhaled relief. Beyond, Tyrion watched. He approached. "Spider." Varys extended open palms. "I am no spider now, merely a servant of realm." Servants seldom smear halls with wildfire. Varys' gaze saddened. "Sacrifice buys dawn. I wept for each lost." Tyrion believed him and hated himself for believing. "What now?" "Now," Varys said, "we must silence the queen before she releases lions upon innocents." He handed Tyrion a sealed vial, a thin fluid dark as tar, nightshade and basilisk blood. One drop in her cup. Sleep eternal. Tyrion recoiled. "Assassination? I am no kingslayer. Nor was Jaime once." History crowned him thus when duty weighed. Varys shook his head. "If Cersei lives, rivers run red. She will burn city and soul." Tyrion's mind conjured wildfire pillars, Sansa's weeping, Ned's head spiked. Could any throne stand while her fury breathed? Yet poison, dishonor deeper than steel. He closed fingers around the vial. "Idicide." "You do," Varys agreed. "Choose realm over blood." He vanished into ruins columns, leaving Tyrion with the quiet flame of candles and moral dread. Elia touched his sleeve. "Whatever you do," she said, "do swiftly. Dawn approaches." Tyrion tightened his grip on the vial. He pictured his sister's face. Beautiful, cruel, broken by fear. Could he end her? Should he? He slipped the poison into his doublet and walked into dark streets where torches cast dragons upon walls. PGSQL. In Maegor's throne room, Queen Cersei paced before the Iron Throne, clanking goblets against jagged swords. The hall stank of ash. She waited for news from scouts. Brightwing's vanguard reached the Gate of the Gods. Tywin's host encamped across the river. The gold cloaks split, some refusing orders. Jaime urged retreat to Casterly Rock. Live to fight again. Cersei refused. She raised Joffrey on the dais. Crown Askew. "You are the king. Show them strength." Joffrey's voice cracked fear. "Where is grandfather?" "On his way." She shoved a golden crossbow into his hands. "You shall welcome him by killing the usurper." She pressed a kiss to his cheek. He flinched. A horn sounded, a horn of challenge. Then drums. Jaime peered from a lofty window. Bright wing forms before the main gate. "He seeks parley again." "He seeks surrender," Cersei spit. "Fetch wildfire reserves. We drown him in green." "There is none left safe for use," Jaime said. Cersei slapped him. "Coward." Jaime's green eyes darkened. "Sister, enough." She spun away, hair wild. Qyburn entered lugging a heavy crate. "Your Grace." "The beast as requested." He lifted the lid. Inside, a shadow coiled slender, 8 legs tipped with barbs. His body black glass, thorax throbbing with crimson light. A spider, large as a hound. Qyburn stroked it. It hissed, dripping venom that smoked upon floor. "Bred in darkness beneath the Casterly mines," he said. "Impervious to fire, craving dragon blood." Cersei's smile stretched terrible. "Loose it when the prince strides within bowshot." Jaime blanched. "This is madness." "Madness," she laughed, eyes shining fever. "Madness saved Aerys nothing. I will succeed." Jaime realized the sister he loved had gone beyond reach. He fingered his sword hilt. One thrust could end her plot. His honor whispered, yet he stood silent. PGSQL. Dawn brushed the horizon with rose gold when Viserys' bright wing halted beneath the Red Keep's walls. Tyrion beside him, Bronn behind. Trumpets quieted. Banners stilled. A hush held the courtyard where burned courtiers' ashes still glimmered. On the battlements above, Cersei appeared, clad in armor of gilded scale, crown of black iron. "Pretender," she cried. "Kneel or burn." Viserys dismounted, unsheathing Blackfire, planting it tip down. "I kneel only to justice." Cersei's laugh echoed brittle. "Then die by it," she signaled. Portcullis grated. Qyburn emerged, staff prodding the monstrous spider forward. The beast skittered onto sun-warmed stone, legs clacking like sword points, eyes faceted crimson. Gasps rippled through assembled troops. Viserys' horse reared. Men stepped back, the spider fixed on the prince, sensing dragon blood. Tyrion's hand closed over poison vial. Useless here. Bronn swore. Viserys drew Blackfire, blade singing. The spider lunged. He rolled aside, steel slicing 2 legs. Dark ichor sprayed. The beast hissed, turning. Its tail stinger shot forward. Viserys blocked with sword flat, but venom etched pits in Valyrian steel. Tyrion's heart seized. Eric sprang to intervene, spear plunging between chitin plates. The spider shrieked, slapped him aside. It turned toward Tyrion, perhaps smelling Varys' ring. But Cersei shouted above, "Joffrey, now!" The boy king appeared, crossbow drawn. Tyrion saw a bolt tip gleam with green resin. Poison? He stepped before Viserys instinctively. Twang. Tyrion braced for pain. Instead, Eric shoved him, bolt taking armor, embedding in Eric's rib. He dropped. Viserys roared, charging spider. Blackfire cleaved thorax. Flame exploded. Its ichor ignited air. Beast writhed, burning charcoal black, collapsing in crackling ruin. Tyrion knelt by Eric. Blood pooled, poison darkened veins. The knight grasped Tyrion's wrist. "Serve the king," he rasped, eyes glazing. He died. Above, Joffrey fumbled to reload. Viserys leveled Blackfire toward the parapet. "Enough!" His voice thundered. "Children and beasts? Is this your crown?" Cersei's face contorted. She seized Joffrey's crossbow, aimed, but Jaime's golden hand caught the weapon. "Sister, stop!" She screamed, clawed his cheek. Guards hesitated, unsure whom to obey. Jaime backhanded her. Just a slap, yet shocking. She staggered, staring at twin trails of her own blood. Fury roared. She drew dagger. Tyrion shouted, "Cersei!" She looked down. Their eyes met across ashes. He held the poison vial aloft, smashed it against stone. A dark splash stained marble. "No more," he said. "This is how far my loyalty bends." Viserys raised sword in salute to Tyrion. "Let the queen surrender," he called, "and no further blood be shed." Jaime half-supported Cersei. Her dagger clattered. Tears carved soot on her cheeks. "I will not yield," she whispered. Jaime's jaw trembled. "Then I yield for us." He lifted white cloak, wrenched its brooch free. "I, Ser Jaime of House Lannister, renounce claim and fealty to the boy king. I surrender Maegor's holdfast to Prince Viserys of House Targaryen, rightful heir." Gasped. Some archers lowered bows. Joffrey shrieked, but Ser Boros Blunt stepped back. Pycelle collapsed sobbing. Cersei's scream echoed as Jaime disarmed her, handing dagger to a gold cloak. Tyrion closed eyes in sorrow. Banners changed color inside hearts that moment. PGSQL. Mid-morning sun crowned Viserys as he ascended the steps to the Red Keep, Blackfire gleaming. The gate yawned, surrendered by the Kingsguard led by Jaime. Small folk flooded behind, chanting "Mercy! Mercy!" Bread cart wheels rattled. From distant septs, bells rang not alarm but welcome. In the throne room, ashes swept, the Iron Throne awaited. Viserys paused before its jagged maw. Tyrion beside him, ring glowing faint. Jaime knelt, offering widow's wail in pledge. Cersei was led away in chains. Joffrey escorted under guard to a waiting litter bound for Old Town. Viserys turned to Tyrion. "You who open the gates, speak truth. Should I sit?" Tyrion gazed upon the throne, knives of conquest jutting skyward. "Thrones matter less than deeds. Sit if you must, but remember burnt bones still litter these stones. Reforge the swords into plowshares, and I'll drink to dragons." Viserys smiled, weary and hopeful. He mounted 2 steps, turned, faced the hall. Priests of the Seven entered, high septon Molochs bearing a circle of beaten gold wrought with tiny wings. He approached the prince. "Will you rule with justice?" Molochs asked. "I will," Viserys vowed. "Will you defend the weak?" "I will." "Will you honor life over flame?" Viserys glanced toward Tyrion, then to ashes from wildfire. "I will temper flame with mercy." Molochs lifted the crown. In that silence, a flutter of wings echoed. The rook Varys had sent weeks ago alighting on a window bar, cawing. Sunlight cut through dust motes, gleaming upon the crown as it settled on Viserys' brow. "All hail Viserys of House Targaryen, first of his name, King of the Undulls, Rhoynar, and the First Men, Lord of the Seven Kingdoms, and Protector of the Realm." Voices rose. Dragons, lions, roses, chalices. Bells pealed triumphant. Tyrion felt weight lift and shift. A new burden but shared. He looked about for Varys, knowing the spider, no, the architect, observed from some shadow. Their eyes met across the hall. Varys bowed, a tear silvering his cheek, then slipped away. Outside, the city roared as fountains of water, freed by Brightwing's men, gushed to cleanse streets of ash. Children splashed, laughing. Grain carts rattled in, unbarred. Yet far beyond, across dark seas, other fires sparked. Stannis' banners catching wind, Daenerys' dragons circling sky, Euron's kraken sails unfurling. The game had not ended, pieces merely rearranged. Tyrion breathed deep, tasting ashes and hope. He whispered to himself, 5 hours indeed, and a lifetime more. And the wheel turned anew, greased with blood and mercy, as Dragonfire met dawn. Sequel. Smoke-laced dawn spilled across the city like pale wine, tinting stone pinnacles in shy rows. In the streets below the Red Keep, torch-black trails of last night's embers still drifted in gutter eddies, but wagons of barley, rye, and small beer already creaked through the gates, escorted by spearmen wearing the new sigil wrought overnight. A red 3-headed dragon circled by silver wings that folded into a chalice. Bakers hollered prices, and children darted beneath mule harnesses to snatch loaf crumbs. The smell of fresh bread climbed the hill to Maegor's Holdfast, where 2 corpses still swung from spiked rails. gold cloaks who had refused to yield. A single rook perched on one stiff shoulder, plucking at dried flesh, regarding passers with bead-bright eyes. Varys paused beneath the bodies, hood shadowing his face. He felt no triumph, only the familiar ache of necessity. The bodies needed to hang long enough to warn others, but not so long the sun burst them and disease took root. He made a mental note to order a cart by evening, then slipped through a servant's door into the keep's belly. News spread faster than rats in a granary. Tywin's lead division, 5,000 men under Kevin Lannister, had crossed the Blackwater by pontoon bridge at dawn and now bivouacked near the Dragon Gate, waiting on emissaries. The lords Tyrell, Rowan, and Merryweather were 3 days' march behind, their levies slowed by harvest wagons commandeered on the Rose Road. The Dornish had begun mustering south of the Prince's Pass, uncertain whether vengeance or alliance best answered a dragon revival. As Varys walked, a dozen whisperers relayed glimmers, each secret a bead added to his abacus of risk. Yet he dismissed them with gentle nods. He had a singular destination. In a chamber high within the Tower of the Hand, Tyrion sat at a cedar table strewn with ledgers and pie charts rendered on scraped parchment. Grain stockpiles, armory inventories, river barge routes. Soot still smudged his doublet. His wounded shoulder pulled at its bandage whenever he shifted. Opposite him perched Bronn, boots on a cask, eating an apple with meat-cutting teeth. "No," Tyrion said, stabbing Quill toward the cell's word. "You cannot simply hang every tax collector who took bribes. Who would collect the next levy?" "The new ones," Bronn answered through a mouthful. "And they'll stay honest if the old lot swing long enough for mothers to tell children. Mind your sums or you'll end up like Uncle Greedy." Tyrion grimaced. "You and Cersei would have been fast friends had she not tried to kill you thrice." Bronn winked. "Fourth time's the charm." Varys slipped inside, closing the door with a soft click. Discussions of morality before noon. I must have stumbled into the wrong solar. Tyrion glanced up, eyes weary, wary, yet alive. "Ah, the spider emerges. Come to tug more strings." "I come to unravel a knot," Varys replied, crossing to the map. He tapped a red ink blot marking Tywin's encampment. "Your father waits. He will negotiate, yet not abase himself. He will want assurances." Bronn chuckled. "A Lannister wants gold. Assure him the mint still prints." Tyrion pushed hair from his brow. "Father will want Cersei spared or, failing that, a trial that ends swiftly in comfortable exile. He will want our house lands untouched, our debts honored, and likely a seat on the new council to guard them." Varys stroked chin thoughtfully. "A seat, yes. Exile or death for Cersei we can negotiate, but Lord Tywin's pride dwarfs the Red Keep. He must leave the field believing he won a concession no sane dragon king would grant." "You have suggestion?" Tyrion asked. "Ido." Varys's eyes glittered. "Riverrun." Bronn tilted his head. "The river lords still cling to Stark banners." "Precisely," Varys answered. "Offer Tywin stewardship of the Trident for 5 years. Time enough for his armies to pacify the riverlands and collect tithes. Let him taste dominion under dragon authority. Let him think it was his idea." Tyrion considered. "My father would relish thrashing Tully holdouts, but the small folk already call Brightwing merciful. Turning loose lions to devour river lambs will tarnish that. Hence 5 years only," Varys said. "A sunset clause. By then the prince, pardon, the king, will have dragons of his own." Tyrion raised brows. A subtle boast, considering no dragon eggs rest in his coffers. Varys inclined his head. "No living ones, but rumors flee across sea lanes swifter than ships. Daenerys Stormborn tends 3 in Meereen, and Carthian traders say they now hunt goats as large as horses. The world changes." Bronn tossed Applecore aside. "Goats or no, Tywin won't dance to tunes he didn't whistle. Send me. I'll convince him with steel." "No," Tyrion said. "We send myself." He took a shaky breath. "I alone may survive his glare long enough to speak, and he will want proof Viserys intends peace." Varys produced a rolled parchment sealed by chalice and dragon. "The king's own hand," naming Lord Tywin Warden of the Trident, conditional upon fealty sworn. And a smaller token. He set a velvet pouch before Tyrion. Valyrian coins minted in lists before the doom. Lord Tywin covets rarities. Tyrion exhaled. At times I forget why half this realm fears you. Then you remind me with velvet and poison. Poison. Varys spread fingers. I prefer tools less crude. Words, contracts, love. His tone darkened on the last. Speaking of love, the queen, your sister, refuses food. She believes Joffrey's escort will be ambushed en route to Old Town. He met Tyrion's gaze. Perhaps she should accompany your father west and spare herself illusions. Tyrion's jaw worked. In a parchment pile lay Elaya's vile fragments. He had spent the night grinding glass to ensure no trace remained. He felt the phantom weight of that decision each time he shifted. I will speak with her before I depart, he murmured. Bronn stood, stretching. I'll muster 100 horse, half Cell's word, half city watchmen drunk on new banners. We ride with you. 20 will suffice, Tyrion said. But loyal ones, if loyalty can be bought by coin and threat in equal measure. He rubbed sore shoulder. Tell them each they will earn triple pay if I return breathing. And if you return dead, quadruple paid to their widows. Tyrion smirked. Encourages them to not test the alternative. Bronn nodded approvingly and left. Varys lingered. You risk much, my friend, he said softly. If Lord Tywin acts on impulse, one crossbow quarrel ends all. We all risk something. Tyrion managed a smile. You risk your dream by freeing others to judge it. Viserys risks a throne by granting privileges that may curdle. The small folk risk believing again. He tapped the amethyst ring still on his finger. Perhaps that is the burden of dragons, belief sharper than sword. Varys's eyes shone with quiet pride. If so, the realm is a blade forged anew. He bowed and withdrew, robes whispering, leaving the dwarf to his quills, his pain, and the storm beyond the city walls. Across Blackwater Water's glinting steel blue, the Lannister encampment bustled under banners half-raised, awaiting outcome. Kevan Lannister, dappled beard streaked in ash, paced before Tywin's command pavilion while heralds drilled messengers in new signals. He disliked idleness. Long campaigns taught him momentum preserved morale, and this forced halt gnawed. But Lord Tywin had ordered, "We wait for the dwarf," so they waited. Inside the pavilion, Tywin sat alone save for a single valet adjusting the line of his crimson surcoat. The great lion sigil upon his breast retained its golden gleam despite dust. The valet had polished it through the night. Tywin inspected himself in a copper mirror. 17 new wrinkles quartered his brow since Joffrey's coronation, though he admitted none. He pivoted toward a side table where a leather satchel lay. From it he drew 3 letters, one sealed in chalice blue wax, delivered at dawn by Brightwing's courier, one from Doran Martell requesting negotiations, and one from Olenna Tyrell dripping perfumed disdain at delay. He tapped each with gauntlet finger, calculating which lever turned which lock. A horn sounded outside, short blast, rising. Tywin dismissed the valet, took a seat behind a sturdy trestle desk, and folded broad hands. Minutes later, horses clattered beyond canvas, hooves silencing as they reached threshold. Kevan escorted Tyrion through the flap. "Father," Tyrion greeted, removing wide-brimmed hat dusted from ride. He winced at his shoulder but masked it beneath dry humor. The roads remain unscathed despite rumor of roaming spiders. Kevan grunted, withdrew to stand watch at entrance. Tywin looked upon his son with eyes pale as new ice. "You come braving bright banners to counsel treason?"
Tyrion sighed.
"I come bearing peace from a crowned king, yes. Treason is a blade whose hilt changes names." Tywin motioned. Tyrion produced the parchment, laid it upon desk. Tywin lifted seal, examined Chalice Dragon emblem. He cracked wax with thumb, scanned contents in silence. When finished, he set scroll aside, expression unreadable. Tyrion offered the pouch next. Tywin weighed it, loosened drawstring, spilled 2 ancient coins onto palm. He recognized them, Inarian era Predum mint, worth small fortunes each. He returned them calmly, though Tyrion noted flicker of acquisitive flicker. Your Viserys proposes I police the Riverlands in his name for 5 years, Tywin said. An assignment notable for mud, rebels, and scant reward. Mud hides gold veins if one knows where to look, Tyrion replied. Tariffs upon riverrun barges, fines upon bandit lords. The realm will pay your troops to protect roads it never could, and you may garrison Harrenhal as de facto seat. Stone bridges, steel mines. Tywin's gaze pinned him. And my daughter? Tyrion exhaled slowly. Cersei ordered wildfire death in court, unleashed beast bred by necromancy, plotted regicide. She faces trial. Show me a monarch untainted by blood. Tywin's voice lowered. She is a lioness. The pride protects its own. Tyrion's heart thudded. She can plead at trial. If condemnation falls, the king offers exile, bravos perhaps, or lists under sworn escort. She lives. Tywin's jaw flexed. Exile is dishonor, yet death breeds martyrdom. You would have me accept this. I would have you prevent worse. A siege will starve thousands. 7 kingdoms stand on brink. Dorne eyes vengeance. Stormlands bleed. Winter crawls south. Peace bought by yield is bargain. Kevin cleared throat softly. Brother, Riverland's governorship places House Lannister in command of 2/3 of wheat stores. We could feed Westeros when snows fall. Tywin darted him a look. Kevin met it steadily. Father, Tyrion added, this is legacy, the lion that saved the realm from famine. For a long moment, silence. Outside, siege engines creaked, unlimbered for drills. At last, Tywin nodded once. Very well. I accept the king's offer, pending written guarantees of Lannister exemptions from taxes for 10 years and official pardon for all soldiers who fought beneath Baratheon banners. Tyrion nearly smiled. Done. And your personal seat on small council, master of laws. Grand Maester, Tywin corrected flatly. The Citadel selects Grand Maester, Tyrion reminded. Tywin's thin smile frightened more than rage. It will. Tyrion inclined his head. I shall return with parchments. He hesitated, then, in return you will withdraw from the city proper, camp east of the Blackwater, enforce supply lines only. Agreed. Tywin extended hand. Tyrion took it, rough knuckles closing around his smaller. Bond sealed. One more matter, Tywin said, releasing. From inside surcoat he produced the amethyst ring. Not Tyrion's ring, another, identical twin. A courier tossed this into my camp last night. A message. Tyrion's blood chilled. A message that dragonfire warms even cold valleys. Wear it to parley tomorrow beyond the city walls. Symbolic gesture. Tywin studied him, then pocketed. Your riddles grow tedious. Farewell. Tyrion bowed and left, pulse pounding. A second ring, Varys's doing. What did the spider plan now? Atop the ramparts of King's Landing, Viserys held council in open air. The parapet overlooked markets where food wagons queued, distributing loaves under guard. Small folk cheered each ration. Beside the king stood Ser Davos Seaworth, arrived overnight under flag of parley from Stannis. The Onion Knight's presence surprised many, but Viserys greeted him with courtesy. My king offers you terms, Davos said, handing a scroll bearing fiery heart sigil. He claims prophecy of Azor Ahai reborn, and that you are imposter blocking light. Viserys unrolled parchment, read Stannis' stern demand. Renounce claim, bend knee, accept title Prince of Dragonstone under Lightbringer. Viserys rolled it shut. I respect Lord Stannis' conviction, but I am no imposter. Davos nodded. I believe that, yet I serve my king. Will your king parley in person? He sails from Dragonstone even now, a fleet of 30 ships, many siege towers. He intends to anchor at Duskendale and march south. Viserys gazed northward, where gulls wheeled. Tell him I will meet him halfway under peace banner. Let prophecy be tested by truth, not blades. Davos bowed. I shall relay. He hesitated. Your grace, prophecy is wind. I sail by charts. Feed the people. Punish the greedy. Hold fast to honor. Those principles look similar on every flag. Viserys smiled. Wise words from a smuggler turned knight. Stay and advise me. Davos's brow furrowed. I remain Stannis's man. Of course. Yet while here eat our bread, walk our streets. Judge. He rested hand on Davos's shoulder. When storms gather, honest voices steady masts. Davos inclined head, gratitude flickering. As you will. Deep beneath the Red Keep, in cellars older than Aegon's Landing, Qyburn knelt before a stone dais on which lay the husk of the mutated spider, charred but intact. He removed blackened legs expertly, prying joint from socket. Each piece he slid into lead-line box. His assistant, a youth missing an ear, watched with nauseous fascination. We grow wiser with each failure, Qyburn murmured, scalpel scraping resin that dripped onto silver tray, hissing. Imagine a living brood hatched from dragon's heat yet bound by redoubled venom. The assistant swallowed. The queen is prisoner. Queens change, Qyburn said, smiling thinly. True patrons crave power beyond crowns. He sealed box, smoothed wax crest of a faceless mask. Send this to the Citadel cellar we discussed. Our allies there crave curiosities. He locked the lid. Tell them I require fragments of dragon bone in exchange. The youth dashed off. Qyburn extinguished his torch, leaving only guttering candles that cast monstrous shadows on vaulted walls. Shadows of spiders, dragons, and men blurred together. North of Harrenhal, ravens carried word of these upheavals to Robb Stark's war camp near the Twins. Lord Bolton read them by firelight while leeches fed on his arm. He reported to Robb. Joffrey dethroned, Lannisters bargaining, new king crowned. Robb paced, gray wind snarling at distant thunder. The North bled to kill one tyrant. Now another sits? He fumed. Bolton's pale eyes glimmered. Perhaps this king sues for peace. Offer independence. We tried with Renly. Catelyn begged Baratheon truce. None listened. Robb clenched fist. I will listen, or winter's wolves carve their bones. Bolton's smile slithered. Then send envoy of your own choosing. I volunteer myself. Robb hesitated. Something in Bolton's hunger unsettled him. Yet he needed eyes in south. Go. Seek safe passage through riverlands under Lannister seal, if Tywin holds them. Of course, Bolton purred. The flayed man navigates any skin. He bowed and withdrew, mind already weaving alliances thicker than blood. In Sunspear, Arion Martell lounged on perfumed cushions while Maester Caliot read latest missive. Queen Cersei captured, Myrcella still in palace nursery, unharmed but hostage. Arion smiled. We hold princess as insurance. They hold queen as curse. Balance tilts. She penned reply to Viserys. Dorne offers allegiance if he weds a Martell. Perhaps herself. She sealed wax with sun and spear, heart fluttering. A dragon husband could avenge Elia, her aunt, and unify south. Across courtyard fountains, Oberyn Martell practiced spear forms with daughters. He chuckled when told. Good, he said, thrust splitting lemon mid-air. But ensure dragon's teeth cannot chew princess once wed. Contracts, spies, antidotes. He licked juice from blade. We dance with fire, where silk shoes soaked in ice. In Meereen, Daenerys Targaryen gazed west from terrace of Great Pyramid, dragons circling above city. Grey Worm approached with casket containing scroll burned at edges, delivered by merchant ship from Karth. News of Viserys' bright wing crowned. Dany's breath caught. Viserys' dead brother regained? No, another claiming father's blood. She reread letter thrice. It bore only this. To Daenerys Stormborn, blood of my blood. The dragon song is not sung alone. Seek me. They. Dany's heart warred. Was it trap or kin? She stroked Drogon's ebony snout. Soon, she whispered. We fly to Westeros soon. But first she must secure Slaver's Bay, lest masters return slave chains. She ordered ambassadors to Astapor and Yunkai to convene, offering alliance under mutual independence and open ports. Carrot before Dragonfire. War or peace, her course bent west. Back in King's Landing, Tyrion returned through gate near sunset, flanked by bronze riders. He sought wine then audience with the king in airy solar where stained glass drizzled color across floor. Viserys set aside ledger of harbor fees to greet him. "Your father agrees," Tyrion reported, handing scroll of Tywin's demands. Viserys scanned, lips tightening at tax exemptions but nodding. "Fair." He signed with quill of harpy feather. "He also wishes Cersei's trial expedited," Tyrion added. "Tomorrow at noon," Viserys said. "Let the faith convene. The realm thirsts for justice, not vengeance." Tyrion exhaled. "Justice may spill vengeance anyway. So be it." Viserys clasped Dwarf's forearm. "You served realm at great risk. I name you Master of Coin. Davos Seaworth will assume Master of Ships once his oaths align." Tyrion blinked. A dwarf and a smuggler? A sharp mind and a star to steer by. Viserys smiled. "The realm needs both." Night draped keep in velvet when Tyrion approached Cersei's cell, once lordly solar repurposed with shuttered windows. Two unsullied stood guard. They allowed entry. Cersei sat in plain shift on low cot, hair tangled gold. Candlelight cratered her cheekbones. She looked up, eyes red-rimmed yet fierce. "Come to gloat." Tyrion closed door gently. "I came to offer choice." He set small flagon and 2 cups on stool. "Trial tomorrow. If you speak contrition, the king will grant exile to bravos, comfortable stipend." Cersei's laugh grated. "Exile among bearded priests? I would slit my throat." Tyrion poured arbor red. "Then what? You will die screaming while small folk toss dung." "I will die queen." She met his gaze. "You always envied me. Now you stand above as I fall. Yet you will never be half the woman I am." Tyrion's throat tightened. "I never desired your crown." He lifted cup. "I desire peace. Think of Tommen, Myrcella. Live." "They took Myrcella, stabbed my Joff," she hissed. The spider whispered chains until only steel remained. She knocked cup aside. Wine pooled. "Go." Tyrion considered the poison vial he had shattered, shards buried beyond recall. He realized now, mercy required courage to face refusal. He bowed and left, heart aching for sister once radiant. The trial of the queen unfolded beneath half-ruined dome of Great September of Baelor, patched with sailcloth to keep off sun. Hundreds packed pews. Small folk, nobles, sellswords, foreign envoys. 7 septons stood behind altar, high septon Molochs presiding. Before them, Cersei in simple gray, wrists manacled. Jaime knelt at her side, unimprisoned but stripped of Kingsguard white, his hair cut short by own hand. Viserys sat on marble throne borrowed from Sept treasury. Simple, no swords, just stone dais. Tyrion stood to left, scroll of charges. Varys nowhere visible. Molochs intoned accusations. Conspiracy to murder, attempted regicide, sorcery via Qyburn. Witnesses were called. Surviving pyromancer, stable boy who saw spider delivered, a gold cloak bribed to smuggle wildfire eggs. Cersei's counsel, Old Lord Crakehall, offered defense. Queen acted to protect realm from usurper, uncertain of dragon's nature. She invoked necessity, tradition, precedent of Maegor. When Molochs offered final plea, Cersei rose, shackles clinking. Hall hushed. She spoke steady, cold. "I was queen by birthright, crowned by gods. I defended my son, my blood, against pretenders. If that is crime, I stand unrepentant. Any mother would." Murmurs rippled. Molochs consulted fellow septons. Verdict: guilty on 3 counts, absolved on sorcery, blame placed on Qyburn. Sentence: exile to Free City, estate funded by lion coffers, vow never to return, or death by sword. Viserys rose. "Choose, Cersei of House Lannister." She glared, eyes flashing. Jaime squeezed her hand. She whispered something, maybe name of their children. Tears spilled. Finally she said, voice cracking, exile. Relieved sighs drifted. She sagged in chains. Jaime bowed head. Viserys nodded to guards. Escort her to ship at dusk. Jaime may accompany. Jaime met Tyrion's eyes, gratitude and sorrow mingling. Tyrion nodded. Some booed. Others clapped. The queen had fallen without heads rolling. Yet as crowd dispersed, High Septon approached Varys, who had materialized behind column. Her admission stirred hearts. Mercy today prevents riot. Varys inclined head. Mercy is seldom weakness. Dusk painted sails crimson as galleon Embersong creaked from Blackwater docks. Bound for Bravos with Cersei, Jaime, and small retinue. Tyrion watched from parapet where Ned Stark once stood. Ships' lanterns blinked farewell. Horizons swallowed them. Behind him, Viserys joined, cloak fluttering. Thank you, King said. For what? For sparing blood. Many lords clamored for her head. Tyrion shrugged. Heads inspire martyrs. Stories of disgraced queens fade. Viserys observed waves. Tomorrow I meet Tywin and Lord Tyrell here on Dragonstone barge. Your father will demand much. I will concede, but not all. He will test you. Then I must pass. He turned. Ride with me tomorrow. Your counsel shields both sides. Tyrion smiled thinly. The mummers dwarf juggling knives between dragons and lions. Why not? That night, in candlelit dormitory, Elia Rivers tended wounded refugees. She hummed lullaby once sung to Babe Aylar. Children slept. She stepped outside into courtyard where Varys waited. She sails, Elia said. Good. Varys let relief seep. Fewer webs to bind. Elia faced him. When will you tell him? Tell whom? Viserys, that you are his cousin. That the wet nurse who saved a babe was saved by you. Varys's eyelids fluttered. A secret kept is power leveraged. But soon, he will need family who loves truth beyond crown. Elia laid hand on his. He already has that. Dawn of the parley. River breeze salty, cool. On deck of barge anchored mid-current. Tywin arrived first, clad in golden armor yet helmless. Mace Tyrell arrived next, wearing broad smile. Viserys boarded last, accompanied by Ser Davos, Tyrion, and Septon Mallox. They met beneath canvas awning. Wine poured, bread broken. Tywin produced sign charter naming him Warden of Trident. Viserys countersigned, wax sealed. Now, Tyrell said jovially, about Highgarden's debt forgiveness. A shout rose from watch, sails northward. All turned. Upstream, vessels bearing stag banner of Baratheon rode. Crimson sails spread. At their prows, war horns groveled base. Davos squinted. Stannis comes early. Tywin cursed softly. He means to stake claim at our table. Viserys' eyes narrowed. Let him. We settle matters in open sun. He signaled crew to ready plank. But as first Baratheon ship entered current, a second banner crested behind, black kraken on gold. Ironborn longships sailed in Stannis' wake. Euron Greyjoy's rebels, having raided Lannisport months earlier, now allied with Storm's End. Horn blasts clashed. Chaos threatened. Viserys drew breath to command when deafening roar cracked sky. From south sword shape vast and crimson. Dragon? No. A wyvern of jeweled glass and steel, propelled by alchemist fire, soared from cliffs of Dragonstone, piloted by Qyburn's acolytes. It belched streak of green flame across Baratheon flagship, igniting sail. Screams reached barge. Tywin drew sword. Treachery. Viserys staggered. I gave no order. He scanned riverbanks, saw Qyburn's cloaked silhouettes guiding contraption with mirrored heliographs. A second contraption lumbered from cove. A wooden siege scorpion mounted on Leviathan cart, dwarfing any built before, cocked to firebolt dipped in wildfire. Tyrion shouted, "Sabotage!" Someone released Qyburn's toys. Tyrell ducked as piece of burning mast crashed. Stannis' ships veered, ramming ironborn longships. River churned with wreckage. Wyvern circled, wings of steel rasping. Viserys thrust Blackfire aloft, blade glinting dawn. "Hold fast," he roared. To Davos, "Signal your king. Those machines were not my doing. We fight common foe." Davos nodded, climbed rigging, waved lantern in cadence of peace. On shore, Varys sprinted along embankment toward Qyburn's crew. He flung knife. One acolyte fell. Others loosed scorpion. Giant bolt whooshed, trailing green flame, struck Tywin's barge side. Fire licked hull. Sailors doused, but heat spread. Tywin commanded archers. Volley peppered contraption. Men toppled. But Wyvern still swooped. Suddenly another shadow eclipsed sun. Massive drake black as night, wingspan dwarfing Wyvern. Drogon. Daenerys rode harness at his neck, silver hair streaming. Behind, Regal and Viserion spiraled. Wyvern turned too late. Drogon's jet flame engulfed, melting steel. It plummeted into river. Cheers erupted. Daenerys guided Drogon to hover over barge. She alighted agile on deck, boots hitting planks that sizzled under dragon heat. All stared in awe as queen and dragons cast monstrous silhouettes. She faced Viserys, eyes wide with recognition and doubt. "Brother?" Her voice trembled. Viserys sheathed Blackfire, stepped forward. "Sister." They embraced as deck rocked. Tyrion released breath. Tywin observed with calculating eyes. Dragons in plural shifted board yet again. Stannis' burning flagship grounded on sandbar. He emerged on deck, sword raised, shining red from reflection of flame. He gazed at dragons, at barge where 3 rival claims now stood. His jaw clenched. The game reset, pieces multiplied, board grown fierce. On ramparts of ruined September of Rhaenys, Varys watched with bloodied sleeve, the acolytes incapacitated, siege scorpion burning. He saw dragons circle barge. He whispered, "Now the realm truly breathes fire." Elia appeared beside him. "Will it kill or warm?" "Both," Varys replied. "But perhaps from ashes, flowers." He pointed to distant fields where Tyrell banners fluttered green and gold. Elia squeezed his hand. "Hold to mercy. Always," he said, though his eyes never left dragons. On charred deck, Daenerys released Viserys, searching his face. "You are changed," she murmured. "Scarred by path," he answered, "but blood unchanged." He touched her cheek. "Rule with me."
Stannis boarded via skiff, wet cloak steaming.
He strode forward. "Rule? You stand upon stolen planks. I am rightful king by law." Daenerys laughed softly, not out of mockery but wonder. So many rightful kings. Tywin raised brow. Perhaps realm of 7 crowns requires counsel of 3 dragons and 1 lion to shepherd. Stannis scowled. "I will not share." Davos interjected quietly. "Your grace, the Lord of Light may will union. Azor Ahai does not slay allies." Stannis glared, but flame reflection wavered in his eyes. Tyrion stepped between claimants. "My lords, my lady, behold the aftermath." He gestured at burning wrecks, dead ironborn afloat. "This is fruit of division. Imagine fields and granaries come winter." Daenerys knelt, palm touching deck. "I sought peace for freedmen across sea. I will not burn Westeros." Viserys nodded. "Nor I." Stannis opened mouth, but Davos laid hand gently on hilt of broken or pendant around his neck, reminder of humility. Stannis closed mouth, gaze dropping to dragons coiled above. He sheathed sword. "We speak at Dragonstone," he said. "Neutral ground." He glanced to Tywin. "Lions may come if they dare ride waves." Tywin's voice was iron. "The lion fears nothing but famine. If dragons keep fields green, we dine together." Agreement tenuous, yet first step. They turned ships toward open sea, escorting Daenerys' fleet of unsullied galleys. Sunshine glimmered off scales, blades, hopes. In King's Landing, small folk looked skyward as dragons passed overhead, their shadows vast yet silent. Some wept, kneeling. Others cheered, flinging flowers. On balcony of Tower of the Hand, Bronn lounged. If they all share throne, who pays me? Podrick polished silverware beside him. Everyone, sire. Or no one. Bronn laughed. Then I back whoever pays first. Nightfall draped city. Torch pattern traced ramparts like fiery necklace. Varys stood within black cells before iron door newly sealed. Inside lay Qyburn, chained, muttering formulas. Varys inserted ceramic stopper of sleeping draft through bars. Drink, he urged. Dream of gentler beasts. Qyburn hissed but swallowed. Sleep claimed him. Varys turned, heart heavy. For every mercy, monsters breathed still. He ascended stairs into courtyard where moon shone. He breathed, feeling weight of secret unsaid. That he carried Targaryen blood, bastard branch concealed. One day he would reveal, but tonight realm had siblings enough to reconcile. He walked past somber pyres of battle dead, pausing to pluck lilac bloom planted by septas among ashes. He sat at atop one pyre, whispering name of acolyte he killed earlier. Even traitors deserved a whisper. Beyond city, Tyrell and Lannister camps moved under banners of temporary alliance, exchanging salt and bread. In Riverlands, ravens carried tidings. Lions come not as conquerors but wardens. Some houses bowed, others sharpened spears. In Winterfell, Robb Stark prepared embassy. In Sunspear, Arryn penned bridal hope. On Dragonstone, warlords entered great hall carved with dragons. Stannis looked to carved table, Viserys to flaming braziers, Daenerys to stained windows of night sky. They discussed roads, laws, famine. They disagreed, argued, almost drew swords. But each sunset they dined, and each dawn they spoke anew. Tyrion sat with Davos sharing wine, comparing tales of smuggling and siege. Ser Davos laughed at dwarfs' jests. Tyrion marveled at knights' humility. Outside, dragons nested on tower spires, breaths warming stone. Sailors whispered that went. Our might feel like spring with such guardians. Weeks later, a proclamation sealed by 4 sigils flew across realm. A great council summoned at Riverrun next full moon. All high lords and free cities invited. Purpose: draft charter of 7 realms, codifying rights of crown and great houses, abolishing slavery, granting river toll oversight to council of merchants, establishing relief fund for winter grain, and inviting electors to confirm royal line by majority oath. Some scoffed, elections? Others cheered. The world shifted. Varys oversaw scribes copying charter through nights. Fingers blistered. He allowed himself small smile. Spider's web had become bridge. Yet shadows lingered. Bolton whispered flayings in dark halls. Euron raised black flags. Qyburn dreamt inside chains. Melisandre knelt before fires, seeing visions of darkness beyond snow. The game never ended, only changed players, rules, stakes. On balcony of Riverrun's new council chambers, Viserys watched carp leap in moonlit river. Daenerys approached, pale silk rippling. "Do you trust them?" she asked. "I trust no man," he answered. "But I believe in possibility." She rested head on his shoulder. "And what of the realm you dreamed in exile?" "It lives partly," he said, "and partly stirs." He drew breath. "I want you to wed Oberyn's daughter. Political, yes, but also, we need new bloodlines, not ours alone." Daenerys chuckled softly. "You always were terrible at romance." "Thank you," he said. Below, torches traced ramparts where Tywin conferred with Mace Tyrell and Davos, drafting clauses. Stannis strode alone, shadows trailing. Tyrion emerged to balcony, carrying parchment. "My lieges," he said, "Bronn presents latest revenue estimates. If grain levy reduced, small folk keep coin to buy goods. Prosperity breeds loyalty." Viserys accepted scroll, scanning. "Make it so." Daenerys leaned on rail. "You work him too hard," she teased. "He thrives in ledgers," Viserys claimed. Tyrion snorted. "Thrive? I drown." They laughed quietly. Autumn's first frost dusted fields when council ratified charter. Bells rung across 7 kingdoms. In Old Town, archmesters studied. In White Harbor, fishermen prayed. In Bravos, exiled queen wandered canals, plotting return under alias Lysara the Lioness. And in quiet chamber of Red Keep, Varys approached Mirror. He removed lavender robe, revealing sigil brand long hidden. Three-headed dragon entwined with chalice, scarred into skin. He traced line with fingertip. At last, he whispered. The song begins. He extinguished candle, leaving only moonlight, and opened window to night air. Rook landed on sill, dropped black feather at his feet. He stroked it, then set it adrift. Feather rode wind above city, now glimmering with lamps, far different from one burnt in wildfire only moons ago. Spider no longer, dragon never entirely. He walked corridor as servant once more. Still work to do. Famine stores to audit, plague rumors to quell, a treaty with Iron Bank to negotiate. Kingdoms survived not on ideals alone, but on grain tallies and copper counts. Yet somewhere in hearts of butchers' boys and high-born ladies alike, hope flickered like rushlight behind shutter. Dragons soared but did not scorch. Wolves prowled but sought seat at table. Lions roared yet guarded gates. For now, months later, snowflakes dusted kings landing for first time in long memory. Children chased them laughing. In Sept Yard, bronze statue of unknown mother cradled babe. Someone draped it with loop of bread. On steps, Tyrion crouched, letting snow melt on palm. Podrick approached, scarf around ears. Master, raven from wall. Lord Commander asks grain wagon trains. Winter hits hard. Tyrion rose, joints aching. Send double what they ask. He gazed north. The Night's Watch stands for all. We stand with them. Podrick nodded. Bells tolled noon. Market bustle swelled. And high above, 3 dragons glided over bay, wings catching pale sun. Symbols of terrifying promise and fragile peace. Their shadows swept across city of stone and hope, across charred throne rooms sprouting scaffolds for glass skylight, across harbor where new galleys named for virtues. Mercy, integrity, flame of dawn, rocked at moorings. The dream endured, stitched by whispers, paid by blood, warmed by dragonfire, measured at last by mercy. Even Varys could not foresee tomorrow's storms, but tonight his realm breathed like patient waking from fever. And far beyond, in swirling snows of unknown north, eyes of blue opened in darkness, ancient pulse quickening. But that battle waited in wings. For now, the game paused, pieces balanced, board reset, hope shining through frost. Yet every spider knows. Webs tremble in slightest wind, and kingdoms, like candles, perish if flame ever outgrows wick. So stories continue. Even as this chapter closes, pens poised, hearts thundering, waiting for next half-breath before winter howls. And somewhere, in secret passages none recall, soft feet scuttle, weaving new threads for tomorrow's dawn.